I've been doing great. I am still doing my my day job, which is a very flexible position, which allows me to accept these deployments and locum tenens assignments. And that's been going very well too. I'm a workers' comp physician, so I do a lot of workers' comp, which actually is great for doing locum tenens because a lot of what we see in primary care in locum tenens is musculoskeletal injuries. And that's primarily what I see as a workers' comp doctor. I live in Southern California.
Cool.
And I have 10 offices all over Southern California. And I don't go there, obviously, at every one every day. How could you? But
Yeah.
I'll probably go to every office at least once a month. What we do is we'll stack patients in that area in that particular office because workers' comp is very strictly regulated by the Division of Workers' Compensation in San Francisco. And you're only allowed to see an injured worker within a certain radius of their home, which is why I kind of have many offices all over so I can pull in as much care as and evaluation as needed. I did accept the position of workers' compensation and occupational medicine medical director at one of our local hospitals. And what I found is that I'm not really cut out to work with hospital administration. There's always a little bit of friction between hospital administration and physicians. And I found that I didn't really enjoy working with them. And so I branched out on my own after my contract was up. One of the reasons that I like doing the workers' comp work is because I have a very flexible schedule and it allows me time to give back, which is what I like to do with locum tenens. So I actually did have a trip in January where I went to Turkey. You'll probably remember the earthquake that occurred in February of 2023. There's about 1 million or so that are still displaced and still living in what they call container homes, which are really just big boxes separated by artificial walls for rooms, and then they have space heaters to heat them up. So I was able to go out there in January, and I went to a town called Hatay, Hatay, which is very close to the border of Syria, less than an hour away, and that's where many people who were affected by the earthquake are still living in very temporary housing situations. Typically, disasters, are taken care of, depending, of course, on the extent of it. But typically, they're taken care of in under a year, where people can rebuild their homes, or they move into new homes with insurance money, et cetera, et cetera. The fact that there's still 1 million displaced people after a year just goes to show you how devastating it was for that area. One day we assisted a doctor who's working out of some of these container boxes that I told you about and seeing the displaced residents of that area. So we actually shadowed him and worked with him. We needed him and some of his assistants because in that particular area, it's considered a fairly small town in Turkey. There are mostly non-English speakers. So we did need the interpretation from the local residents, the ones who were bilingual, to help us. We went to another small town very close to Hatay, and the mayor of that small town let us use his office, and we basically set up a pop-up clinic. And it's one of those situations where a few residents are told, and then they tell two friends, and then they tell two friends, and they tell two friends. So you actually get more and more patients closer to the end of the day, as opposed to starting out and then working your way through the big long line. This is the kind of situation where they say the American doctors are here, the doctors from America are here. People are just so receptive to doctors from America coming because they know they're going to get excellent care in this type of precarious situation where maybe their own doctors, who are probably also very excellent, had a break in the supply chain of medicines, in the supply chain of assistive devices, in the supply chain of, other essentials for healthcare like oxygen and things like that. So maybe couldn't provide the best care that they were used to, before the earthquake happened. Every country, including the United States, by the way, has opportunities to get involved where you can provide charity care. You can go to the inner cities and go to a clinic for the underserved. Here, I grew up in the city of Chicago. There's many of those opportunities there. I I did 2.5 residencies in San Francisco, and we as residents would go to the underserved areas in San Francisco and take care of those folks as well. So you don't have to go overseas. You can find an opportunity right in your own backyard. It's easy enough for us to accept assignments and say, oh, let me try this. And then you'll do it once or twice. And you say, well, it's really not for me. I'm looking instead for people who are really more dedicated over the long term and committed to making a difference in different areas for a number of years. I celebrate my 25th year of disaster and humanitarian volunteerism this year. This is my 25th year. When you come back, you realize how fortunate you are and you appreciate everything you have here. Whether it's just your personal stuff like your own vehicle or your beautiful house or, even your family, um, or whether it's the practice situation you're in. I mean, you're in a hospital that has no problem with resources, you really do get the feeling that we're in a situation unlike many, many other people in other countries. Barton has really done a great job in making those opportunities available, in making sure that we are protected by letting us know, what to expect, hooking us up with a buddy who's had the same experience, making sure all the liability aspects are covered, and then all the way to having this contest, which really puts the spotlight on how the people that are dedicated to this type of work really feel about it and why you should then also see if you can commit to it. It's a great recruitment tool, that's for sure. I wear my Barton jacket to I took it with me to Panama when I went, actually, and so appreciate some of the swag materials we got from Barton too. We're getting the word out.